Night. A dark pine forest somewhere deep inside the old Soviet Union. The trees are dead silent until the ground itself starts to vibrate. Out of the darkness, a pair of headlights appears way too high off the ground to be a normal truck. Then another pair, then another. 24 wheels grinding slowly through the mud, carrying a 28-meter-long nuclear missile like it is just another cargo container. This is not a tank. It is not a train. It is technically a truck. Most people, when they think of military vehicles, picture tanks, Humvees, maybe an armored personnel carrier. But behind almost every tank, every missile system, every frontline unit, there is a hidden world of off-road monsters on wheels whose only job is to move ridiculous amounts of weight through places where roads barely exist. These are the trucks that haul 70-ton tanks, 100-ton missiles, and enough fuel to keep entire armored brigades alive. They crawl through deep snow, desert sand, frozen swamps, and cratered roads. And if they fail, the war machine stops. You almost never see them in documentaries. They are usually blurred in the background or covered by the rocket sitting on top of them. But today, we are putting them front and center, because in this video, we are counting down 10 of the biggest military off-road trucks ever built. Trucks so extreme that honestly most people do not even know they exist. From modern NATO tank transporters to insane Cold War Soviet prototypes that basically broke the laws of road engineering, you are about to see how far militaries have pushed the idea of just make the truck a bit bigger. So ask yourself this: at what point does a truck stop being a vehicle and start being a rolling piece of infrastructure that bends the landscape around it? Stay tuned, because by the time we get to number 1, you will realize we have already crossed that line. So here is what we are doing in this video. We are not talking about tanks. We are not talking about tracked vehicles. We are talking purely about trucks, wheeled, off-road monsters designed to carry insane loads for the military. To make this top 10, each vehicle has to tick a few boxes. It has to be military, designed, or heavily used for military roles. It has to be off-road capable, not just a highway tractor with camo paint. And it has to be huge in one or more ways: length, number of axles, weight, or payload. We will go from normal heavy 8x8 workhorses, the kind that move tanks and fuel, all the way up to secretive Cold War giants built to carry nuclear missiles bigger than some airplanes. Along the way, we will break down what each truck was built for, the specs that make it extreme: axles, horsepower, payload, and the human angle. What it would actually feel like to be the person driving 150 tons of missile through a swamp at 20 kilometers per hour. If you are into extreme machines and real military history, this is your world. Engineering pushed to the edge, just to answer one question over and over again: how do we move this ridiculous thing over there without a proper road? Let us set the stage with a quick background so the numbers you are about to hear actually make sense. Before we dive into the list, let us get clear on what we are looking at. When you hear 8x8 or 16x16, it sounds like gamer specs. But in the truck world, it is simple. The first number is total wheels. The second number is driven wheels. So an 8x8 has 8 wheels, all 8 of them powered. A 16x16 means 16 wheels, all getting torque. And yes, we are going all the way up to 24x24 in this list. These are not just big for the sake of being big. Militaries need them for 3 brutally practical reasons: logistics, hauling fuel, ammunition, bridge sections, and supplies over terrain where a normal truck would sink or snap its axles. Tank transport. Instead of driving a 60 to 70 ton main battle tank on its own tracks and destroying roads, you stick it on a heavy truck and trailer. Missile and radar carriers, mobile launchers for huge rockets, and long-range missiles, plus radar systems the size of houses. The bigger and heavier the cargo, the more axles you need to spread the weight. You cannot just stack more tons on a normal truck and hope the bridge does not collapse. So when you hear 150-ton payload or 220-ton gross weight in this countdown, remember, every extra axle, every extra wheel is there just to fight gravity and bad terrain at the same time. With that in mind, let us meet number 10. We start with something that actually looks like a truck, if you squint. The MAN HX81 is a German 8x8 heavy tractor used by NATO countries as a tank transporter. Its job is simple but brutal. Hook up to a massive low-bed trailer, load a 60 to 70-ton main battle tank on top like a Leopard 2, and move the whole circus over long distances. Fully loaded, the HX81 and its trailer combo can push around 130 tons of total train weight. To pull that, it uses a huge V8 diesel pumping out around 680 horsepower, driving all 8 wheels. This is the kind of vehicle that saves tank crews from wearing out tracks on highways. It is big, it is mean, and it is just our baseline. Because the further we go down this list, the more normal this beast will start to look. Number 9 takes us back to the Cold War and into Czechoslovakia with the Tatra 813 Kolos. This thing is pure Eastern Bloc heavy metal. It is an 8x8 off-road tractor with a weird, almost boxy cab and a massive air-cooled V12 diesel engine behind it. Depending on the version, the Kolos weighed over 14 tons empty and could tow trailers up to around 100 tons. It was used to move heavy artillery, engineering equipment, and even tanks for Warsaw Pact forces. Central tire inflation, deep weighting ability, and that signature Tatra backbone chassis made it a mud-crawling specialist. Kolos literally means colossus, and they were not kidding. But as big as it is, it still works inside the world of normal heavy trucks. Our next entry is what happens when the US Army decides to make normal the standard issue. You have probably seen this truck in news footage without even noticing it. The Oshkosh HEMTT, which stands for Heavy Expanded Mobility Tactical Truck, is the American answer to frontline logistics. It is an 8x8 platform used for fuel tankers, ammunition carriers, wreckers, and more. At around 10 meters long and weighing well over 15 tons empty, depending on the variant, the HEMTT can haul about 10 tons of payload off-road and a lot more on good surfaces. All 8 wheels are driven, the suspension is built for rough terrain, and later models use large Caterpillar diesel engines producing around 500 horsepower. This is not a rare prototype. Thousands have been built. They have served in Desert Storm, Iraq, and Afghanistan. They are everywhere the US Army needs to feed tanks, artillery, and helicopters. But while the HEMTT keeps the war machine alive, our next truck carries the war machine's most feared weapon directly on its back. Number 7 looks like a long, low, slightly sinister box on wheels. That is because most of the time you only see it under a missile. The MZKT-7930 Astrolog, built in Belarus, is an 8x8 special chassis used as a platform for systems like the Iskander ballistic missile, coastal defense missiles, radar stations, and more. The truck itself is about 12 to 13 meters long, weighs over 20 tons empty, and can carry around 24 tons of payload. Under the skin, it is driven by a powerful diesel engine feeding all 8 wheels, with high ground clearance and off-road suspension. Most people only notice the missile canister. The truck underneath is basically invisible. But without the Astrolog, those systems do not move. And speaking of invisible heroes, our next truck is famous. You just know it by the rocket it carries, not by its actual name. Number 6 is one of those vehicles that instantly screams Cold War the second you see it. The MAZ 543-7310 series, nicknamed Uragan, is a Soviet 8x8 heavy chassis. If you have ever seen footage of a Scud missile launcher, you have seen this truck. Long nose, long flatbed, 8 giant wheels, and a missile container lying across the top like a steel coffin. At roughly 11 to 12 meters long and over 20 tons empty, the MAZ-543 can carry around 15 to 20 plus tons of missiles or rocket pods. A massive diesel engine, nearly 40 liters in displacement, powers all 8 wheels. These trucks operated in everything from Siberian winters to Middle Eastern deserts. If there was a war or a tense border where scuds were rolling, these MAZ trucks were right underneath them. And from here on, we leave the big but believable world and step into something else. Heavy trucks that start to look like land battleships. We are only halfway through this list, and already we have seen trucks that carry tanks, trucks that haul Scud missiles, and 8x8 beasts that look oversized next to normal vehicles. From this point on, the wheel counts jump. We are talking 16 by 16, meaning 16 powered wheels, and even 24 by 24, payloads of 80, 150, even over 200 tons. Trucks so heavy that bridges become a bigger enemy than any tank. If you are enjoying this deep dive into extreme military machines and the real engineering behind them, take a second to like this video and subscribe. On this channel, we take the vehicles you only ever see for a few seconds in documentaries, and we break them down, how big they really are, what they were actually designed to do, and why they almost never show up on camera. Drop a comment right now and guess which country built our #1 truck. You have seen Germany, the United States, Russia, and Soviet-era designs already. But the biggest one of all, let us just say, the Cold War got weird. Number 5 looks like something out of a sci-fi movie, a low, flat, almost alien platform with 16 wheels. This is the KAMAZ 7850 Platforma O, part of Russia's new generation of ultra-heavy trucks designed to replace older Belarusian chassis for mobile missile systems. The key thing here is the 16 by 16 diesel-electric drive. Instead of a normal transmission, a large diesel engine powers generators, which then feed electric motors in each wheel. That gives super precise control and massive torque at low speeds. The 7850 series is rated for around an 85-ton payload on its back. We are talking ICBM canisters, massive radar arrays, or other strategic systems. Fully loaded, it crawls at modest road speeds, but it can handle soft ground and uneven forest tracks, where a normal semi-truck would just give up. If the MAZ missile trucks were the Cold War generation, Platforma O is the modern evolution. But even this monster owes its existence to an earlier family of giants from Belarus. Number 4 is the MZKT 79221, and this is where things start to look genuinely absurd. This is the 16 by 16 chassis you see carrying Topol M and RS-24 Yars intercontinental ballistic missiles, huge white or green cylinders rolling slowly through forests and red square parades. The truck itself has 8 axles and 16 driven wheels, stretching to roughly 20 meters with the launcher's superstructure. Empty, it weighs over 40 tons, and its payload is around 80 tons of missile and launch equipment. An 800 horsepower diesel engine pushes this landship to around 40 to 45 kilometers per hour on roads, and it is designed to work from deep sub-zero winters to scorching summers across mud, snow, and unpaved tracks. Most people see the missile and think that is terrifying, but the engineering underneath, quietly fighting weight, terrain, and physics, is just as extreme. And yet, in the late Cold War, someone looked at this kind of truck and said, what if we go even bigger? Welcome to the MAZ 7906, the point where a heavy truck starts to feel like a slow-moving building. Developed in the mid-1980s in the Soviet Union, the MAZ 7906 was built as a 16 by 16 experimental chassis to carry a projected 150-ton road mobile missile system. Just the bare chassis weighed around 68 tons before you even added the launcher and missile. It was absolutely enormous, with 16 powered wheels, a sprawling flatbed, and a profile that made even big tanks look small next to it. But here is the catch. When they actually tested the thing, it ran into a hard limit that no amount of horsepower could fix. The limiting factor was infrastructure. Bridges, roads, and soft ground simply could not handle the combination of weight and axle spacing. Even when creeping along at low speeds, the ground pressure was pushing it. The MAZ 7906 proved that you could build a truck for a 150-ton missile. It also proved that the world it needed to drive on was not ready. So naturally, the next step was simple. Fine, let us make something even more extreme. Number 2 on our list is maybe the most jaw-dropping truck ever built. The MAZ 7907. Imagine something nearly 28 meters long that is almost a third of a football field, riding on 24 wheels, all of them powered. Now imagine a 100-plus ton intercontinental ballistic missile sitting on top of it. That is the 7907, a 24 by 24 nuclear land train built in the 1980s as a mobile launcher for the RT-23 Molodets ICBM. To move this monster, engineers installed a gas turbine engine of roughly 1,250 horsepower, driving an electric transmission that powered each wheel with its own motor. Empty, the truck weighed around 65 tons. With a launcher and missile, it was aiming at 150 tons of payload. At that weight, it did not so much drive as negotiate with the ground under it. The road mobile missile concept was eventually canceled, and the 7907 never went into full service. One prototype survived and was famously used to carry a 40-meter, 80-plus ton boat overland. Because honestly, what else do you do with a retired nuclear missile truck? You would think this has to be number 1. But there was one more experiment, heavier, stranger, and even less practical. At number 1, we have something that barely fits the word truck anymore, the MAZ 7904. Built in the early 1980s in the Soviet Union, the MAZ 7904 was an experimental 12 by 12 chassis designed to explore the absolute upper limits of road-mobile missile transport. Where most trucks get longer and add axles, the MAZ 7904 went for raw mass. The numbers are insane. Fully loaded, sources put the total weight at up to 360 tons, with a payload in the 200-ton range. 12 massive wheels carried this rolling fortress, each one taller than an average adult. It was so heavy that even just moving it around test ranges was a problem. Bridges, forget it. Soft ground, not happening. Even on relatively solid surfaces, the ground pressure was extreme. The MAZ 7904's tests reportedly showed that as a concept, it was simply too big for the real world it had to drive in. The MAZ 7904 never entered service. It exists as a legend, a blurry photo in a snowy yard, the kind of thing heavy vehicle nerds argue about on forums. But in terms of pure, outrageous military off-road truck engineering, this is the final boss. This is where engineers asked how big we could go, and reality answered that's enough. Let's rewind the list from number 10 to number 1 and put these beasts into perspective. Number 10, MAN HX-81, modern NATO tank mule, hauling Leopard 2 tanks and other heavy armor. Number 9, Tatra 813 Kolos, Cold War 8x8 Colossus towing up to 100 tons. Number 8, Oshkosh HEMTT, the American frontline workhorse keeping fuel and ammo flowing. Number 7, MZKT 7930 Astrolog, the quiet missile carrier you always see but never notice. Number 6, MAZ 543 7310 Uragan, the Scud launcher's iconic 8x8 backbone. Number 5. KAMAZ 785 Platforma O, modern 16x16 diesel-electric heavyweight. Number 4. MZKT 79221 16x16 Topol M Yars ICBM carrier, an 80-ton missile on wheels. Number 3. MAZ 7906 16x16 experimental chassis rated for 150 tons, pushing the limits of road strength. Number 2. MAZ 7907 24x24 nuclear land train, 28 meters long, turbine electric drive. Number 1. MAZ 7904 12x12 behemoth pushing toward 360 tons total mass. To picture the biggest of these, imagine standing next to one wheel, your head barely reaching halfway. Then imagine the vehicle stretching off like a small train. Lengthwise, trucks like the 7907 are approaching airliner territory. Weight-wise, the fully loaded giants are in the same ballpark as a wide-body passenger jet at takeoff. And all of this rolling on rough ground, not a smooth runway. What ties all of them together is the same design problem. How do you spread enormous mass over enough wheels, with enough torque, to move through terrible terrain without the entire landscape just giving up underneath you? That battle between machine, terrain, and physics is exactly what makes these trucks so fascinating. So after seeing all 10, here is the real question. Which one would you dare to drive? Would you take the MAN HX81 with a 70-ton tank chained down behind you, rumbling up a mountain pass? The Oshkosh HEMTT weaving through a combat zone with fuel and ammo that cannot be late? Or would you choose madness and climb into the cab of the MAZ 7907, knowing there might be a 100-ton missile or an 80-ton load behind you, and that every bridge you cross could become a physics experiment? These trucks are not just cool machines. They are physical answers to impossible questions. How do you move a nuclear missile through a forest? How do you carry 150 tons off-road? How big can a truck get before the world itself says no? If you enjoyed this dive into extreme military off-road machines and the real engineering behind them, make sure to like this video and subscribe. On this channel, we go beyond the usual tank footage and dig into the weird, oversized, and almost secret hardware that actually makes modern militaries work. Tell me in the comments which truck shocked you the most, and what we should cover next. Giant artillery trucks, insane Arctic supply rigs, or something even crazier. Thanks for watching, and remember, somewhere out there, there is a truck that is bigger than your house.